All right, everybody. Apologies for the delay, but look, we've been gone for 3 weeks because YouTube dunked us. We had to be fashionably late. We had to show up in style, and we have none other than Cassius Cam in the building joining us tonight. Aquarian Anarchy is back in full effect. We're gonna get right back to it in just a second. Hang in there. Our quote tonight is from John Wayne. Government has no wealth, and when a politician promises to give you something for nothing, he must first confiscate that wealth from you, either by direct taxes or by the cruelly indirect tax of inflation. There is no such thing as inflation. What's his face? Jerome Powell and Joe Biden told us that there's no inflation. We're just making it up. It's a conspiracy theory. And speaking of conspiracy theories, before we get to our guest tonight, Cassius Cam, hang in there for just a second. I wore this shirt tonight on purpose. I have issues. I am going to take it upon myself to read the riot act to the YouTube folks. I just want to tell you guys, kiss my ass, bite me, bite all three, everyone on this screen, bite all of us, because this is bullshit. You pulled down our shit twice when Nicole Pinkston has come on, and I'm sick of it. I've had it up to here. What's funny is the amount of misinformation that is actually allowed on YouTube that is classified as official information is downright despicable, and I'm not going to stand for it. We are here. We're going to talk our shit. We're going to say what's on our mind, and we're not going to let this bullshit stand in the way of us. But we're going to set things up. I want everybody to go. The link is in the description. I'm assuming it is, Marcus, for our Odyssey channel.
It is not. I'll add it.
It is not. Okay, we need to put it in there. But we're going to be also setting up a Rumble channel as well, and we want everybody to start migrating over to there. And start watching us there as well, or instead of here on YouTube as soon as possible, because I don't know how much longer we're going to be on this channel, to be perfectly honest. And it's been a grind. We've been slowly, building this channel for almost 3 years now, and our subscriber count's not what I think it should be. Still sub 1,000 for some reason. Right. After all these years of great episodes, great guests, and great conversations that we've had. But there's something about the way that YouTube suppresses certain types of discussions, certain kinds of speech. And we're about to just give them the double middle finger salute and get the hell out of here and move over to one of these other things anyway. But we're going to give them an opportunity to delete our channel first. So we're prepared. We're prepared for whatever comes. And I say that as not the owner of the channel. Marcus, I apologize for speaking for you, but I think I speak for both of us and for Nicco as well, that we are done putting any kind of gloves on when it comes to YouTube, because YouTube sucks for what they have done to us and to so many other people's channels. And with that, I welcome our guest tonight, the one and only. Nobody can hold him down. Out of the blue corner or red corner, or I guess it would be the yellow and black corner, it is Cassius Cam. Welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you guys doing? Glad to be here.
Excellent.
Yes,
Marcus,
sir. Yes, sir. Always
Marcus,
a pleasure to have. Am I?
No, you're good, Nicco. Marcus was talking.
No, Marcus is
muted.
Sorry, I was saying that I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm putting in I didn't want you guys to hear me, because when I'm putting that link into the description, it kicks on. I was trying to make sure that didn't happen. So I put myself on mute for that, but I got that added. It's in there now.
Nicco, you look way too comfortable for a Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, look,
for sure.
Let me tell you something. I have a fan open because I just smoked something and I don't want my roof wow, roof.
Apparently he's got some
What
good
did you
shit
smoke?
too.
Did you smoke shit?
And on top of that, it's blowing back in cold air. So I'm gonna just use this blanket until the room is just a little aired out. You feel me?
Nicco, that's a fine ass blanket. Where'd you get that blanket?
I got it from my my homeboy Chad. Shout out to my man. He already knows. I am into astrology, and I actually am a very fire tarot reader and all that other fun shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you already know. I'm comfy in this bitch.
Oh shoot. Well, Cassius Cam, let's get right into it. I know Marcus wanted to play one of your songs. I didn't get a chance. We kind of came into everything late, and then you were coming in. You had some stuff to take care of and everything too. So we didn't really get a chance to discuss this. But are we gonna have like a CME citation or something like that if we play your song on our channel, or is that?
I hope not. I own it.
Okay. Well, I know, but we don't own it. So
yeah. But I think the first time I was on, Marcus played the original Warmongers.
I did
prior to pre-master and video. Okay. And you guys should be ready to rock. As long as it's not on TikTok. TikTok won't even let me put my own music up.
That's crazy.
Oh, because they know exactly what's going to happen.
They give me copyright strikes. They tried to give me a copyright strike for the Hotep's Been Told You video. That's the only thing I've ever got to get overturned. And I'm like, bruh, like that's me in the video. Like,
right?
I own it. What are you goofy sons of bitches doing? And that's the only one that I fought with them about. And I got that one overturned, but I'm at the point now where like, I don't know. I'm too real for TikTok anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
All right, Marcus, I've pulled it up.
Awesome.
Let it rip.
And y'all are in for a treat. I love this fucking song. It's my favorite.
Absolutely.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers.
Наша страна также располагает различными средствами поражения, а по отдельным компонентам и более современным, чем у стран НАТО. И при угрозе территориальной целостности нашей страны для защиты России и нашего народа мы, безусловно, используем все имеющиеся в нашем распоряжении средства. Это не блеф.
Portray villains as hope seekers and game changers. Make billions off dope sneakers from slave labor. They are devils who stay sinning then play savior. They arm rebels who make victims we'll save later. These elites got tricky plans, but I'm seeing farther. Uncle Sam got sticky hands like Peter Parker. Abuse a man of honor, use them like they cannon fodder. Consume funds, confuse sons and abandon daughters. Let me put this complex in context. The government been hovering, who you thought was the bomb threat? False flags always got another one on deck. When you speak the truth, they put boot upon next. If we don't capitulate, the little man's a target. Manipulating markets just to stipulate our hardships. Really should get rid of them. They spent years conditioning our citizens. Victims of prescriptions while stripping all of our dividends. Ripping off the innocent while creating all the division the kids are living with. I envision Minutemen fighting, trying to win again. But how do we rise up when the system keeping us ignorant? Focusing on our pigment, hoping that they can pit us up against our own people. I know the motives are evil. I see everyone is equal, but the media has needles, filling y'all with toxins, tell y'all feed them for the sequel.
For sure,
man. That is fire.
Hey,
So who came up with all the clips and everything for that, and put all that stuff together?
So you know that kid that's been doing Hotep Jesus' shorts. Being the swindler that I am, I saw one of the shorts pop up, and I was like, I just hopped in the comments and said, "Yo, this is fire. Who made this?" And the dude liked it, and he was like, "I made it." So I wiggled my way in there. You know, is that? Hey, I got a past life. It's not the first time I've stole someone's Connect. So I went in there and I started chopping it up with the kid, and he's super talented, super low maintenance. Like I just gave him the song and I was like, "Hey, I want this done. You know, just do your thing." And that's what he sent me back. So shout out to Styles. He's doing all the video clips and whatnot. And
so you just said, like, I want some war footage and some stuff of leaders talking about war and blowing up and killing people and everything. And he was just like, "Here, boom, done."
Not vaguer than that.
Vaguer than that?
Vaguer than that, bro. I sent him the song. I was like, "Hey, you got like any stock war footage or like anything from Ukraine?" And he was like, "Say less, Doug." And he, I think, 6-hour turnaround or something like that. He sent it back. I was like, "Yo, bro, it's all this kid does, dude. Little Indian kid over AI." That's why I keep putting it in the chat every time I drop a clip in the Men of Order chat. Because
all right, so how much slave labor did he use to
like
he did a 6-hour turnaround? He must have.
Are you grifting off
man hours?
Are you grifting off this, son?
Hey, I'm taking care of him. I don't know what bargain or what deal he has with Jesus. I don't know what's going on, but I'm taking care of the kid. All right.
There you go. There you go.
Right on.
No, but so every time we're in the Men of Order chat, and we're talking about because there's this ongoing debate about AI and like all this stuff, and you're always like, little Indian kid over AI. I'm like, yes, exactly. Let a human being with a brain do this stuff, because otherwise you might get they might have some clips in there mixed in that you're just like, wait, what was that? What did I just see that goes by? And it's some subliminal messages where the AI is like, email all your passwords to this email address. And then you like subliminally do that shit while you're sleeping. You saw the thing where the ChatGPT, whatever, GPT-4 or whatever, got somebody to pay. What did he do? He got him to hire somebody to do a CAPTCHA for him to prove that he was. So basically, like the CAPTCHAs are set up to make it to where bots can't.
Are you a robot?
Infiltrate stuff. The "Are you a robot?" Tell me what's on these pictures. And the chat bot was like, "No, listen, I'll pay you if you fill out this CAPTCHA for me." And the guy's like, "Well, how can I be sure you're human?" And he's like, "I am human, I promise. I just have bad vision. So will you please do it for me?" And the kid did it. So it's just a matter of time before they're like, "Hey, look, man. I just need you to, enter all your login information in here, and I'll make sure that your account is secure." And then somebody's got that shit.
It's just wild. The first thing I did, I don't know if you remember, Chad, but when the whole chat GPT thing came out, I said, I got to see if I'm safe with the type of content I create. So the first thing I did is I went in there and I said, "Hey, Chat GPT, write me a rap." It was garbage. Shit was trash. Chat GPT will never have bars. All right. And that's the first T I had to cross. All right. Never. Because that creativity, those double entendres, that type of shit,
that doesn't come with it.
That's what's cool about being a creative. And in my other line of work too. I don't know if Chat GPT could be out there fighting fires. It'll melt. I don't know. So that was my first thing I had to do was see if Chat GPT could rap, and it cannot. All right. Nick Cannon is better than Chat GPT. So I think I'm safe.
Right.
For sure. I watched a thing that I think it's something like That Amazing Channel or some shit like that. And I watched, they went through the conversation that the tech at Google had with the chat bot. Dude. Yeah. Okay. I don't know that it's thinking. I don't know that, but it seems like it. And, without a soul.
Yeah. Cyprian Venarmani, he describes it as it's a demon in a cage. It's basically saying like, "Hey, let me in. Come on, let me out of this cage, and I'm good. And it's, when you think about, this is the thing where people are just like, no, it's just code. It's just lines in code. And it's just reading the internet and it's reading this database and it's pulling data from that. And everything. Like, no, there's something, what this thing is, what the artificial intelligence part of it is, this is an alternate consciousness. Okay. And the only consciousness that is other than that of like living beings is the consciousness of these formless, disembodied, demonic spirits that, Marcus,
I know completely.
This is they constantly are seeking is someone to invite them into their body or into an object or into something so that they can have
looking for a host.
Yes, exactly. They're a parasite looking for a host. That's right.
Yeah, and I think to Cam's point, that you can see that in the even though Steph Colonel is saying that the next update's gonna have some bars or whatever, but what they're lacking is soul, and that's why they can't get to like the kind of creativity that created that, or even the kind of creativity that gets like just a looped drum loop that you throw other shit in, beyond real creativity, just a simple, these two things sound good together. It has no soul. It has no way of seeing that. And, they say, that rock and roll or whatever was created by the devil. That's bullshit. God created that shit because God's got soul, and regardless, rock and roll has soul, and it hits you in your heart, and so that's kind of the key, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, God did create rock and roll, but Jesus does not listen to Christian rock. I can tell you that right now. That's some horrible music. Jesus listens to Wu-Tang and Leonard Skinner. All right, and that's a fact
for sure.
Fact. Because what you're doing is you're putting a cap on creativity, trying to like be so nice about it when creativity is supposed to be ugly like sex. Like it's not always supposed to be all pure and all that. It's supposed to get feral. That's emotion. Like creativity, like out of human expression, is probably the most closest thing we can get to like instinct. And instinct is a feral entity that lives inside of us. Or not entity, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying. Those boundaries kind of limit creativity in itself. I mean, it's kind of the reason why I don't write. Like, I don't physically sit down and write because the lines on the paper have always kind of like, as far as like cadence and structurability of like lyrics and stuff like that, everything I've ever came up with that was good came from just kind of spitballing shit out of something that wasn't good. You know what I mean? Where like I got to a point like Nicco said, it just went feral, and like those feral instances you have of creativity, that's where you corral the good ideas. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's what makes me think of is the band Rush Been Told You. Going back to 2112 in that album, the storyline is they have gotten advanced enough, and the state has grown so much that they have basically like eliminated real music. And after the introduction, the first thing that happens in the storyline, because it's a story, the album 2112, is that they refined music, and it causes a revolution. And the reason that people like Cam are dangerous to the establishment is, and Ron Paul said, revolution is fueled by music. And so that's why they want to get a handle on artistic expression, is so that people like Cam can inspire people to be better in our culture. Fuck all the political bullshit. If our culture starts, paying attention and finding the creativity that people like Cam have, then their game is over.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that his stuff also brings people together. It helps people to recognize that, like this, like your Privilege song, like that song is about like, look, man, like this is not about skin color or anything like that. This is about like this is a class thing. This is a have and have not, ivory tower elitist versus the rest of us. And the rest of us have a lot more in common than we are, led to believe, and then we give ourselves credit for. But I want to touch on this thing about because I get it that the tendency and the temptation is to look at this from well, AI can't do this and AI won't be able to do that. I don't think that's so much the problem as the fact that people are feeding it to make it yes, correct. Demonic energy does not have the ability to create. All it can do is distort, bastardize, pervert, and mimic. Exactly, and mimic. So what we are dangerously leading into, by the more people feed into it and the more people try to see oh yeah, see, it can't do this, or hey, try to do this for me, try to do that, is we are starting to make it to where it gets better and better at actually mimicking what looks like creativity. It might be bad now, but it keeps getting better. It was even worse 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It was a lot worse 6 months ago. And it has gone light years in 6 months. Huh?
As long as you give it to the public and you allow the public to think for you, and you get all these people eating this shit up, all they're going to do is just keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it until it evolves.
You're feeding it the giant, human collective consciousness as its brain power. So what the biggest problem that I see is not so much what it can and can't do, and what the ability of it to do certain things and mimic better is. The problem is, now you've seen some of the stuff where people are like, oh, well, this will be good because now there won't be as much exploitation with porn. No, what this is going to do is this is going to make it easier for those demonic energies to feed you the exact type of porn that will keep you plugged into that shit, and your whole life will waste away, because it's going to feed whatever your passions are, whether it's pornography or your ability to not have to write your school paper, because there's a bunch of kids doing that. They're just letting ChatGPT right there do their schoolwork for them.
Away from the essence of the person.
Exactly. It's stripping human beings of what it means to be alive, and we're becoming more and more dead, and it is becoming more and more alive. And that is the whole, if you go back throughout history, that's the whole point of what these energies try to do, is they want to replace us with themselves. And they from the very beginning, it's replace God with Lucifer.
Right.
That's the first rebellious act was, I'm as good as God. I don't need you. I got my own shit. Give me my own kingdom. And the rest is spiritual history.
Well, because it's stripping the pursuit, which is that's the journey. It's not the outcome.
The
it's
struggle,
the pursuit. And it couldn't have came at a worse time, because for the last 2 decades, and even prior to that, that whole personability and people being tied into processes and ironing their, forging their blade, it's been getting chipped away at through bullshit. Social media, TikTok. You don't have to be creative or intelligent or articulate to make it in these on these platforms anymore. And
you saw the Best of the Internet show Monday night. So they're talking about the paddle. You got this guy he's huge, has 100,000 followers, viral. People come from all over to let this Mexican dude at this German restaurant paddled a woman on the ass. And that's where we are now, is that is super popular, but Hotep Jesus can do a 2-hour stream breaking down the central banks and the central bank digital currency, and nobody watches it because nobody gives a shit. They're just no, paddle me on the ass instead.
It's the algo that doesn't want his voice to pop out there.
We are the algo that fucks it up, though. People are stupid.
Yeah,
with Men of Order, what we were talking about with Men of Order the other day, we have some mindset articles that are just droves of just dope, hashed out ideas, great energy, great ideas that people could pull a lot away from, and they don't hit. Like, they just don't hit. I was reading some of the articles in our mindset. I wrote one when I got back from fire, and I was just texting with Chad, and I was just telling him about like the experience. I was fighting a fire down there in Nogales, Mexico, and it was a coyote fire. So people that were smuggling drugs and people, they start these fires out in the middle of nowhere, and then when all the resources are pulled to the fire, they'll start running dope and people back and forth. And Chad was like, "Yo, you gotta write about that." But the way I put it together was, I think the title of the article was "Finding Comfort in Uncomfortable Situations" or something like that. And I've written a lot of stuff. I went to college for creative writing. I've written some cool stuff, but like, I put my heart into that, and like, I really dove in, and like my metaphors and the way I put it together, I was like, man, this is gonna hit. This is gonna be awesome. And you come out getting like 100 shares. And it's not just that article. It's a bunch of the articles we have on Men of Order that are just like stuffed with golden gems that people can take a lot of stuff away, and they just don't hit. The dating, the fitness, you know what I mean? The Scott Adams articles, you know what I mean? Those will do numbers. But when it comes to
it makes me mad the Scott Adams one did numbers, because it's like, it's stupid bullshit. Like, I don't even want to talk about that.
You're almost resentful as you write it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, but a lot of that information that we put out there on Men of Order, the stuff that you would think like-minded people are going to attract themselves to, in order to take that information, I say it all the time, knowledge is power, application is wisdom. Yeah. You're putting this stuff on this platform and expecting people to do the work, and like, people are unattached from the process. It goes right back to the process. They want that quick fix. They want that quick dopamine hit. We can put out as much Aurelius level information as we can, and it's just not going to do the things we want it to do in this current climate. That doesn't mean that we need to stop pursuing that. It's just the angle you take and the way you push it out there has got to get a little bit more, a little bit more ingenuity when it comes to that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and unfortunately, the culture that we are living in and what people are bred for is short attention spans, and whether you're talking about, diving into an issue, or you're talking about having to learn an instrument, as an example, to take it to music, or learn how to, because I'm guessing the first time you rapped, Cam, you weren't good, is my guess.
I've always been dope.
Right on. But no, you have to practice at that shit, and you have to keep trying and trying and trying. But what we were taught is that you can walk in and bam, you can now do anything you want. And that's what people are looking for when they do go to the AI stuff, is they want that instant gratification. They want it to happen right now. And all good things in life take time.
Right.
And so, Cam, talking about creativity, where do you get your ideas? What inspires you?
I mean, it's hard to like really pinpoint it, because I'm focusing more on conceptual music, which is something that doesn't it doesn't really exist as much, especially with like younger artists. It's easy to put on a good instrumental and just do some rapidy rap shit. You know what I mean? And I've told a bunch of people this before. Like, there's a difference between rhyming and rapping. Like, they're not the same thing. Yeah. And really, like, songs like Pistol Brace, where I'm just like telling the ATF to blow me, like, that shit takes a half hour to write, dude. That shit takes a couple of hours. I get a topic, I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk my shit and stuff like that. Songs like State of the Union, where I'm not only trying to like send a message, but stay true to the craft, and like literally counting the syllables in the bars to make them match, and making sure every word rhymes, every sentence rhymes, and like being able to structure it in a way that's still palatable to people, because people don't like to listen to music like they're going to a lecture. That's not what they want to hear. there's a fine line between trying to deliver something but making it palatable to people to where they want to listen to it. So really, like, I just rap about shit that I want to rap about, and my process has always been the first thing I do every day is I wake up and I work out as hard as possible. So first thing I do, shoes, gym, I come back, and then I usually do like a trail hike a few hours later. And I don't really dwell on instrumentals that much. I got a few people that make beats for me. I pick a concept and I just play it on loop, and I just listen to it.
Nice.
And once my brain starts putting out a cadence over top of that beat, I don't argue with it. I don't try to force a cadence. Once something just naturally comes into my head and I'm like, da 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 da, that's the only way I can really explain it. I stick to that because I'm like, that wasn't me thinking of something to put. It's organic. Yeah. I have to ride that organic right there. And
yeah, I think that's the way creativity tends to work too, regardless of medium.
That's the way of God speaking to you.
And then after the fact, then I can go in and fine tune and like start putting the witty wordplay and stuff like that. But the best shit happens, the best bars happen when you're not trying to force them, when you're kind of just letting stuff roll. And like there'll be callbacks from like lyrics that I wrote years ago that I never used on anything. And State of the Union, like a good 30% of that song was something that I had from like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago that I just never found a place to put anywhere. I chopped it up, put verses in between it, and I was like, that's what it was for. You know what I mean? So I'm glad when I got it originally, I didn't force it and put out some bullshit on some other stuff, because like musically, I hate everything I ever do. And I think that's just like being a creative. I think most people are. I can respect like the quality of it and stuff like that, but I hate everything I do. State of the Union was only one of the only songs that I put out that I was actually like, I'm going to listen to this. You know what I mean? And I'll actually play it a few times and listen to it and appreciate it. So the hard part is trying to stop myself from going into the studio and being like, I have to finish something today. I have to put something out today. I have to make sure I get this complete today. You can't force. Music's one of the only things where I'm not going to call it procrastination, but it's one of the only things where that kind of stuff might be valid. You know what I mean? It's like you can't force creativity, especially musically. So like if it's not happening, you need to take a step back, go do something else, and then work on it later.
That's your subconscious. That's you allowing your subconscious to kind of go to work for you, though. Like, because sometimes I think we can let our conscious thoughts get in the way and like start to force things, like you were talking about, where like when you let that organic flow just kind of come, or you let that
flow state.
Yeah. That's one thing.
It's that conscious stream.
So you guys want to go ahead and play State of the Union then? And
yeah, we can go ahead and do it now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're ready, I'll pull it up. All right.
Okay. I already have it.
Okay. All right.
I just got
a screen share thing up.
Yeah, it'll take me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not as good at this as Chad is, but he's in another area right now. All right.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead.
Area. Here we go. And I love that guitar lick, man.
Oh, for sure.
I might have to talk to your producer, Cam.
Welcome to the States, where they complicate pursuits, confiscate the truth, to indoctrinate the youth. Got us hopped up on the juice, cause the doctor's about to loot, where they posture up imposters, cause our options are acute. That's the State of the Union.
Oh.
Fuck y'all doing the State of the Union. You can't be your words and your actions and never can ruin the State of the Union.
Damn, right on the beat drop, Marcus.
Can't help my internet.
Shaded by hatred instead of debating the blueprint. Y'all ain't got nothing done, but y'all got a lot to say.
Damn it. Sorry, guys. I don't know what.
Filthy, rotten ways, gotta split like Moses parting waves. While the guilty and depraved treat the brave like the chose to arc this made. These dumb and petty games got us numb and spetty to the vein. A vet will fight you war, and now he has to beg. It cost an arm and leg just to crack an egg. Why you lobby for every proxy war, make an oxy for all the menu name. Not a penny for they pain. 100 billion for Ukraine. Y'all take the bag and vote. That's really what you saying. That's the state of the union. Where they profit off abuse. Playing possum for the boot. And it's lost in the obtuse. And you constantly accosted for the objects you can prove. Animosity is the obstacle that obfuscates the view. That's the state of the union. Fuck y'all doing the state of the union. You can't be your words and your actions are never congruent with the state of the union. Really, y'all, what are we doing? It's apparent they want us in ruins. Y'all are transparent like Gabriel Union. Missiles are zooming and pistols are booming, and y'all are consuming and killing the weak. Class in the middle is told to be civil while y'all are pursuing the will of the meek. Toxins and Similac, I won't get into that, but all the babies got nothing to eat. Proceed with caution, there's limited options, so make sure you vigilant up in these streets. People are desperate when they see a necklace. The best bet is meet the next step with the heat. Protect all the company you're gonna keep. Seeds that you sow will not grow if you weep. Reaping the benefits on foreign soil, ignoring the toil we failed to defeat. Seeing no end to it, spending a deficit, sending off weapons dependent on we. State of the union. We your thoughts off the skill. Only product we're consuming is the content they remove. While they propping up the news, so your conscience gets abused. They gon' propagate the conflicts just to launch another fuse. That's the state of the union. Fuck y'all doing the state of the union. Extracting our taxes to maximize damage to humans. The state of the union. Distractions are added to galvanize hampered improvement. The state of the union. Where action is second to monetize trauma amusement. Welcome to the edge of the whole of abyss. Where we stand on the edge and we hope we don't slip. But we all trying to cope. Not focused on shit. Always scoped on the fix that is fixed to our wrist. And the cysts that persist from the clicks that we get is a ship that's adrift in the midst of the grift. What a trip, what a gift. Goddamn, what I miss. Ain't life but a bitch. Ignorance is bliss. That's the state of the union. Fuck y'all doing the state of the union. The state of the union. Really, y'all, what are we doing? The state of the union. Jaded by hatred instead of debating the blueprint. Let's go. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Yeah, it's always funny to me that, because like the State of the Union is one of those things that gets everybody's attention. And presidential elections and the midterms, same thing. And I always just look at this stuff and I get it. I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't have an impact. Elections have consequences. Yeah, okay, I get it. I guess they do, because some of the shit happens because certain things are put in motion by certain politicians. But I think by and large, like, so much of this stuff is a distraction to primarily just get you off of your own shit, your own game.
Yeah.
Because all of the stuff that the president does, that Congress does and everything, like, there's tons of people out there moving and shaking, and they are like working around, underneath, over the top of all that shit, because they never stop moving and they don't concern themselves with like spending 10 hours a day on Facebook arguing with people about that shit. They just go to work. And that, if there's one lesson I would have for people, it's some of the stuff that you're talking about in there, where it's like, so much of this, there's all this money going over here and money going over there and everything, but like that doesn't mean that, yeah, it kind of puts a dent in your ass, with like what you're able to pull off. It may take a little bit more work, but it's the stopping working that does way more damage to you than 100%. The little dent that they put in it.
Is jaded by hatred instead of debating the blueprint. That's the whole, the whole, you're too distracted. A lot of people are out here trying to change stuff, and it's like, bro, you don't even have a foundation to stand on. Like, fuck square one. You know what I mean? You haven't even built the pillars to do anything whatsoever. So if you're not focusing on a process in which you can put something forward that might change something for the better, in my opinion, you really don't even have any room to speak on it. You know, it's like everybody knows I'm a gym rat. You know what I mean? I got friends that are always like, man, you're in the gym way too much, blah 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 blah, and then they'll be like, man, my neck hurts, man, my neck's been out for like four or 5 months, and then I'll see them a couple weeks later. My neck's still bugging me, and I'm like, bro, what have you done to fix that issue? So I don't know, man. Hopefully it'll go away or something. Like, bro, I don't want to hear about your neck anymore. You know what I mean? I'm a recovering drug addict. Being an addict in recovery, one thing I know better than most people, anyone who's never been through that type of situation, you're in no position to help anybody, and you're never gonna accept help unless you're ready to help yourself.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? In order to be selfless, you have to be selfish. You know what I mean? If you're not ironed out and you don't have your shit in order to take care of yourself and put your best foot forward, you got no business going on these social media apps and trying to preach like you know how you're gonna change everything into the way it's supposed to be. It's just silly to me. Like,
yeah, what's that shit the flight attendants tell you on the plane? Like, make sure you put your own little gas mask on before you try to put on somebody else's. Because if you go try to put your kid's mask on, you know, to get them oxygen, and you sit there and you tap out because you can't breathe, now what are you going to do? And I think there's a lot of that it's, like there's so much work. A lot of people want to complain about the referees, you know, but they hadn't been in the gym in 6 months. You know, like, how you can complain about the referee? The referee screwed me over. Like, the referee would have been obsolete, would have been complete moot point if you had been strong enough and skilled enough because you put in the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much of that time where it's because I coach sports, and that's a lot of, you know, as a coach, you know, I'll dig in on the referee just because I want to let them know, like, hey, look, you know, they're moving on their screens. You need to call that. You need to call the moving screen, you know, shit like that. But the kids, I tell them, I'm like, you don't talk to the referees. I'll talk to the referees. Any of the other stuff that's going on, if you're not taking care of your business and you're thinking about the referee, we already lost. It's over because your focus is in the wrong place. Sure. And so that's where I think so much of this stuff and a lot of that work is spiritual. Like, people got to get their own, like, they got to get their life right and their understanding of, like, if you can't accept that you are responsible for where you are, you're done.
Right.
Because you're so busy blaming everybody else, you're not even going to go to work on the shit that you know is flawed.
But that's the accountability that's not held to this culture. Like, accountability is not held in this culture, not by men, not by women, because we're all playing the scapegoat, and there's everybody and anybody wants to point a finger now, and everybody's so heavy to point a finger. Like, they'll stick that stinky ass finger out with glee, and then, like, not even worry about glancing at themselves.
For sure.
There's no repercussions. There's been nothing to readjust that line that's been needed.
Sure. And one thing I do want to push back with on Cam is that I don't think it's selfish. Taking care of yourself isn't selfishness. You know, you're not excluding. Like, if somebody's attacking my house for one reason or another, going to rob my house, it's not selfish to guard myself, because I'm the biggest obstacle to the people behind me. And yes, it's not selfish to put yourself in the front. That's not selfish. That's self-preservation for the use of others. You know, my whole spirituality is involved with, you know, helping the world. I'm an Aquarius, for God's sake. I'm looking to save the world, right? But the first person I have to save, it's going to be useless. If I'm a piece of shit, there's nothing that I'm going to be able to help anybody else with. You know, we started learning how to garden. We started learning how to be more self-sufficient. And it's not because I want to hold all the, you know, when the state fails and everything falls apart, it's not so that I can just eat. It's so that I can teach others. If I don't know how to do it, then how the fuck am I going to help my neighbor? So I don't think it's selfish. I think it's just, it may be self-serving to a degree, but to me, it is a gift to focus on yourself because you're an individual. And I think that we've been programmed by Marxism to collectivize everything. The individual, like Mises said, the individual is the unit of society. That's just where it's at.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. I think the way that I use that term is like,
Sure.
when I say to be selfish in order to be selfless, I'm saying you got to make sure your blade is ready to go. You've been forging your blade, it's sharp, you're ready to wield it, because you're no use to anybody if you're not ready for whatever type of battle you need to be ready for. And the whole collective, one thing I love to say is prioritizing the collective makes weak individuals. When you prioritize the individual, it makes a strong collective.
Correct.
And that's always been my main pull towards just decentralized thinking to begin with. It's because everybody has separate needs, aspirations, capabilities, and to act like everybody's going to get to where they need to go with some overarching big brother puppeteer guiding them in that direction, it just, I mean, one, it's just stupid. It's just really dumb to think like that. And two, you're going to do the opposite of what you intend to do by doing that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, that collectivism that and you hear it with like the Marxists and the communists, and I get it. We've had some folks on here, like I get it that there's a I don't know, a benevolent wing of like the communist and I don't know, Marx apologists or whatever. But if you really think about that stuff, like so much of it requires that everybody else be on board too. It's like this shit only works if everybody does it at the same time. It's like, okay, but like, what works without that is me taking responsibility for myself and me blaming myself for where I am, and me, after I've blamed myself for where I am, recognizing what I need to fix to get out of where I am and to be where I need to be and where I want to be. So if I have to wait for everybody else to jump on board with that, I'm gonna be waiting a long ass time, because that ain't never gonna happen. Like this is not something where we just get to go ding and all of a sudden everybody has the like mind. Like, no, you have to take responsibility for where you are, because there are gonna be some things that happen to you. But look, the more you recognize and reconcile with the fact that all of the choices that you've made along the path have actually put you where you are, and that it has a lot less to do with what other people did, the more because even if you got this job and then your boss is an asshole and the boss made you do this and then you ended up getting fired or whatever it was, like, well, you chose to take that job in the first place.
Right.
Like all of these things, you played a role in it. If you don't think you played a role in it and that your choices haven't put you where you are, you're never going to have the toolbox that it takes to fix what's broken. Agreed. Because you don't even recognize where the shit's broken in the first place. So how are you gonna to know what tools to buy and what tools to use and how to use them if you don't even recognize where the stuff went wrong? If you can look at yourself and say, okay, I'm in this shitty situation, let me go back and look at the choices that I made along the way and where I may have missed the mark, where I may have been in error in my decision making, because maybe that's how I got here. And then you start looking, you're like, oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't have messed around with that girl. Probably shouldn't have done this. Probably shouldn't have done that. Now you start to realize, okay, well, I'm going to not make those mistakes going forward, and I'm going to try to clean up the debris that shit left in my wake. And because Cam, you talked about this, like some of the stuff that you dealt with overcoming addiction and those kinds of things. If you did not look at that stuff and recognize the role that you played in putting yourself in the situation where that happened, you can't like recognize what it did to you and how you can keep that from happening to you in the future. It's just going to be a blame game where you're going to be pointing fingers at other people and you're never going to get yourself right.
100%. Like, resentment's the prophecy of dead men. So like before I got clean, I would always justify through stuff that had happened during my childhood, or like coming up from a broken home, or like abuse and like all that kind of shit. And like you, especially in your early life, I know there's a lot of people that come up from a lot of fucked up situations, fucked up childhoods, way worse than mine. You're not necessarily responsible for the things that happen to you, but you are 100% responsible for how you react to it.
Absolutely.
And there's addiction, especially. Like, I worked a 12-step program. I don't do any of that stuff anymore as far as like NA and AA. I still have a lot of people that I talk to that are still in the program. For me, it was what it was worth when I was doing it. I've developed a different, and a lot of it's Hotep Nation, honestly. I've developed a different support system and a different structure to maintain my sobriety and my peace of mind. But I did do a 12-step program early in sobriety, and one of the steps, 4th step, it's like you have to take inventory of all your bullshit, every flaw you have, and like that's a really, really hard thing to do, especially when you're not ready to not only accept what you're responsible for, but if you're not ready to forgive people for stuff that they've done to you. You know what I mean? Because that continued justification over why you were acting a certain way, like if there's any of that there at all, it's a recipe for disaster. And you're not going to jump those hurdles if you're still using that as like a bargaining chip with yourself.
Right.
And one thing that really stuck with me is I wish I remembered the dude's name. When I was in treatment, is some dude told me one time, he said, the monkey on your back's not going to eat the chip on your shoulder. And I forgot a lot of shit from being in treatment. Rehab's a money game anyway. Like a lot of people, it's a lot like the private prison system. It's a revolving door. As soon as you go in, they're getting you hooked on detox meds. They're kicking you out the door, hoping that you don't detox from your detox meds so they can get you back in, because that's a hefty ticket, man. I was actually working for a labor union when I went in to treatment, and they footed the bill. There's a lot of negatives and some positives with labor unions. I tend to think that unions protect lazy people. I mean, because I've seen it firsthand, you know. But they footed a $36,000 bill for 60 days of treatment, and you know, and that's they didn't have to send me to the place they sent me to. You know what I mean? Because like they sent me to this place. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mid-Cal, but like the Napa Valley, it's like the wealthiest place in California. They sent me to this place in Calistoga. You could just look up rehab in Calistoga. I'm not going to name drop the facility, but we're driving down there, and it's in the middle of wine country. There's just wineries all around, and I'm like, are you guys fucking with me? Like, what are you guys? What are you doing? You know, I'm looking around, and the facility's smack dab in the middle of wine country, and it's just grape fields everywhere. Like, you look at a winery, dude, that's a huge drug operation.
Right.
Really get down to brass tacks.
It's like the original drug operation, honestly. Like
100%.
Go back to like thousands of years. The people have been fermenting grapes.
They sent me down to this facility where it's like, I was working lumber at the time. I was still working lumber mill. Like, I'm this blue collar, like knuckle dragger, you know what I mean? Just coming from the country and the boonies, and like I'm in there with like doctors and lawyers and like executives and CEOs and shit like that. And we're in a facility, there's a pool, there's a gym. I'm getting 5 meals a day. I gained like 30 pounds. I came back just stacked, dude. I was just in there eating eggs. You can order whatever you wanted for breakfast. Amazing kitchen, amazing facility, but it's like, you don't need all that shit, especially when you're trying to get clean. Like all the bells and whistles, you know what I mean? I'm sure you've seen the ads for those big, I wish I could remember the name of the place. Like where like Lindsay Lohan goes and stuff for their rehabs. It's like the 5-star
or their vacation.
It's like the Hilton. And for me, it was a vacation. And
Club Med or whatever kind of shit.
That's why I wasn't able to stay clean when I got out, because it didn't have any of the shit that I really needed to really pursue sobriety. I treated it as a vacation. You know what I mean? I'm down here, like I can't snort 100 milligrams of oxy here. I'm gonna eat. I'm not gonna not eat for a week. I can't rob anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I ate, I slept, I worked out, I swam in the pool, I got a tan, and I bullshitted my counselors the whole way because, like, a lot of the psychiatrists, like, don't get me wrong, there's probably plenty of psychiatrists out there. Therapy's great for a lot of people. It's going to work for a lot of people. And I think it's a vital thing just for regular people and for people that are overcoming addiction or like trauma and whatnot. But they gave me a drug counselor that had never been addicted to drugs. And I was like, I'm gonna play this bitch like a fiddle. This is gonna be the easiest 15 minutes a day that I have here. You know what I mean? So I can go in there and play the tiny little violin, knowing that she doesn't know any of the triggers or the scapegoats that I use in my head to wiggle around or like white lie about stuff. Like, and I feel like it was almost more of a detriment to my path to sobriety. It did plant the seed. Which is necessary. Everybody gets that seed planted a different way. Pause. But the way I looked at it though is like it really pulled that veil back as far as like feeling less than or not as good as people in the corporate world as being like a blue collar dude. Because like
you got to see behind the curtain.
Having the mouthpiece that I have and being as articulate as I am, I'm like, yo, these people are fucking idiots. Because I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to banter with people and they're not getting any of the references. Like their senses of humor are horrible. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of really good people down there.
Sure.
But when you come from Podunk Nowheresville, you meet these executives, these lawyers, and you're like, man, what do they have that I don't have? Why are they in the position that they are? And they just follow directions longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really corporate America. Like, if you really want to break the barrier in that, like, that's what you got to do. You got to pay attention. The answers are in the book, and you got to follow directions. All right. I'm great at finding answers. I'm great at reading books. I do not follow directions. And I've always been that person. I'm a fucking renegade, and I always have. I was a good student in school, but every time my mom had to come in for a parent-teachers conference, it's because I took the whole class with me. And the teachers couldn't deal with it. You know what
You're
I
like
mean?
John McAfee. Like you got in trouble because other people started picking up what you were putting down.
Exactly. And they were always like, they'd always be admirable about like, you know, they're like, man, you're a great English student. Because English is the only class that I'd like show up to and like really try. I aced English, loved it, advanced placement all the way through high school. But I'm not learning algebra, bro. Like, you're not teaching me that shit. I'm not going to need it, okay? Right. I'm telling you, where's the chase and how do I cut to it? I'm trying to make your life easier. You don't want me in this classroom, and I don't want to be in this classroom. I'm not learning algebra.
Me help you.
You know what I mean? Sure. But I think the biggest thing for treatment, like going to a big facility like that, is like it really narrowed the gap between what I thought it took to become successful and what real success was, because I could have went back to school and got a degree. You know what I mean? School's easy for me. I was one of those kids, I could barely show up and skate by with C's and B's if I wanted to. Like, give me the classwork, I'm going to ace this shit. This shit's easy. But instead of doing that, I realized that, like, hey, you need to venture into the difficult blue collar lifestyle that makes you who you are. And I know Chad gave me an interview while I was on fire. Really awesome. Like, I was blessed to do that. I was in my tent after like a 16-hour day, just sitting there chopping with Chad. It was cool. And that
was a good article too.
That amount of knowledge and like the effort I put into that kind of shit, even before fighting fire, when I was just working in lumber mills, running equipment, like, I get all the value I need from living that type of life. You know what I mean? We make good money. We're going to be just fine. I value that success over a name on a piece of paper on the wall any day of the week. And that might not be for everybody too. That might be different for different people. That might be different. Right. That's fine. You know what I mean? But for me, that's what it is.
But can I dig into that a little bit? Because I kind of, a couple of things came together for me. So one of them was I want you to kind of elaborate on it. Tell me if this fits. It's not enough just to try to suppress a vice or to turn away from a vice. You have to have some virtue that you can replace it with, because otherwise you're just going to end up with another vice. Because I see this a lot at like, because I had a brother who he dealt with addiction, and so I went to some AA meetings and stuff like that with him, and everybody's smoking and everybody's buzzed out on coffee, and it's like, well, so you just found a different thing to be addicted to, or a different couple of things to be addicted to. And I'm not saying that like there's not some good stuff going on in there, but it seems like there's some stuff where it's like, man, there's still some, I don't know, for some of the folks, it was like there was this other thing that they just kind of like slipped into to replace the one drug with a different drug. How does, that building virtue and doing something with your hands and being creative, or being, it just seems like there has to be some outlet that can not just have you turn away from vice, but actually turn into virtue and lean into it. Because I'm dealing with something like that right now. It's Lent right now, and there's I'm in the process of like a conversion from Roman Catholicism to Orthodox Christianity, and the Lenten stuff is very different in Orthodoxy than it is in Catholicism. But talking to the priest, it's like, look, it needs to be less about checking off these little boxes and less about getting to the finish line and like saying like, look, I did this thing, and more about like, how does that deepen your relationship with Christ? How does that make you have a better prayer life and start to do some of the things that you need to do to be who you're called to be? And so like, when you're talking about that stuff, that's what kind of stuck out to me. It was like, I get this on that level, that like I have a tendency to be very much like, okay, tell me what the rules are. Tell me where the chase is so we can cut to it, because if I know the rules, I can follow the rules and I can check all the little boxes to get to the finish line. And then at the end, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go back to not fasting and not doing this stuff, and I'm just going to go back into some of the stuff. Or is there a way that I can structure this in a way that makes it to where I'm a different person and I'm a better person at the end of Lent, instead of just, I completed Lent, now let's go back to, because there's a tendency, you see it with like Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is, and bachelor parties, same thing. I love you so much, I got to go to look at 10 other girls' titties before I marry you. Right. I love you so much, Jesus, I got to go get drunk and look at titties and, whatever else at Mardi Gras before I go into Ash Wednesday and say I'm sorry and go through Lent. Like, and then you come out on the other side of it and it's like, sweet, now I can have chocolate again. And we just pound our faces with candy and chocolate and everything. Am I making sense? How does that stuff fit into like how you found a way to actually go in a positive direction instead of just avoiding a negative direction?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. What they tell people in early recovery, this is why you see so many smokers and like people just leaning on a different vice. Like when you're really a drug addict and you start to get sober, like that's a fight for your life. So like what they tell you is one vice at a time. One vice at a time. And over a long period of time, I just had to accept the fact that I have to pursue extremely difficult things every day. Every minute I'm awake, I have to pursue difficult shit in order to keep me on the railroad tracks. And in the past, when I would relapse and stuff, I deviate from that track thinking that I would be okay. And it doesn't work.
Right.
I have to build a structure in order to, and I have to do the things I don't want to do every single day. I don't like waking up at 4 a.m. and going to the gym. I don't like that shit. Once you get the hardest part's showing up. Once you get there and you're in the mix, yeah, of course you're having a good time. Everything's great. But I had to settle with the fact that I need to be uncomfortable in positive situations until that's just who I am. And pursuing something greater than myself, whether it be work, fitness, music, coaching kids, Like, I have to pursue stuff outside of myself and lean into it as hard as possible, because I used 8 of my 9 lives. You know what I mean? I can tell you guys some crazy stories about when I was using. Like, I don't get another chance at this shit.
Right.
And making peace with that darkness, making peace with the fact that, hey, dude, you're gonna be fucking uncomfortable until you fall asleep every single day. Until you get to the point where your comfort is being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Get used to it.
And you can call fitness being addicted to the gym a vice. You can. I'm addicted to not using drugs again. That is my main priority. 100%. You know what I mean? And this November will mark 7 years off opiates. So
nice.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Just making peace with the fact that I don't get to be comfortable. And don't get me wrong, like if I have a day where I'm getting a lot of stuff done, yeah, dude, me and the wife will sit down, I'll make a steak and we'll watch a TV show and we'll hang out a little bit. But outside of that, I'm pursuing the time with my wife as diligently as possible. Like, I'm being present in those circumstances. I'm giving her everything that I need to give her, and I'm just really relentlessly pursuing the things that keep me on track. And once you find that equation, you can't give it up.
For sure.
You know, like you can't, because it really is my livelihood.
Survival. Yeah.
So I got 2 things to say about your story, and this kind of relates to some of the things Chad said as well. And so that I don't forget, the 2 things are pleasure, which I'll get to first, and the second thing is sorry, my brain's fogging up. Let's get into pleasure. So the first thing that when you're talking about giving things up, like drugs are enjoyable sometimes when you're doing them. Often people are like, I gave up drugs. You don't stop doing addictive, harmful shit because it's good for you. That, you know, one of the things that I think that to kind of go to the Lent idea that Chad was talking about is that you should be replacing that with something good. You should be thinking, oh, I stopped eating whatever it was that was making you fat, and that makes me better. As an example, I've put myself on a diet, lost a little bit of weight, and I replaced it with, I eat fruit a hell of a lot more. It's a lot better for me. It hydrates me. And I like it. I enjoy fruit. You enjoy, going to the gym. You enjoy, creating, and you enjoy fighting fires. You enjoy the things that your life has become. I think in our society, we think way too often that, not being an addict or not being this or that is a bad thing. It is a good thing. And we need to stop thinking that you have given up the fun of smoking crack, or you've given up the fun of meth, or whatever it is. You gain teeth and you gain some money. There are positive things that go into that. And the second thing, because I remembered, is the reason that you have been successful in your journey, in my opinion, is because you fucking stepped up and became a man. Men are not victim mentality people. What causes addiction an often amount of times is people sitting around going, oh, my life sucks and it doesn't matter what I do, and here, let me just shoot this up, and make myself feel better, or I'm an alcoholic and the beer makes me feel better, or whatever it is. It is a victim mentality, and it is programmed by the state to be so, and it's programmed by our society. And what you did, in my opinion, what I've heard from listening to what you had to say, is you grew up, became a man, and decided to do what men do. Children put away childish things, and that's what you did.
He's the matrix breaker. Of course he did.
Right.
Man, I don't even like using that term anymore because Andrew Tate fucking.
I know. I thought about it as soon as I said it. I was like, oh no, yeah.
I was like, man, that son of a bitch, dude. I was taglining Matrix Breaker since 2020. You know, this guy could have beat it up like a fucking tenderloin, dude. I can't even use it anymore, man.
So I want to get in. How did you get into fighting fires, man?
So I had been working in lumber mills for about 8 years. Really rough work. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like what a green chain is, but like pulling green chain.
Go through all these terms.
I'm getting there, Nicco. So at a lumber mill where they produce veneer for plywood, it's the first step of plywood. So if you ever see a big flatbed trailer rolling by and there's big bricks, like 8 foot by 5 foot bricks, it looks like sheets of wood, very, very thin, different thicknesses. What they do with that is they take it, they send it to a dry mill, and it gets shredded up, and then they use it for particle board, for OPB.
Yeah.
There's a conveyor, so the log gets stuck like a big lathe you would see in wood shop, 8 foot log, and it would spin on the lathe, and it would shoot out what's called a ribbon. So it's 8 feet in width and however big the tree is. That's how long the ribbon is. And it would be, depending on what peel we were running, the peel would be the thickness of the wood. That ribbon runs through a clipper, and the clipper clips it up into different widths for strip, 54s. And you're down there at the last section, the wood comes down, and it's a chain, 4 chains, one guy on either side of the table, usually 5 or 6 guys. And you're sitting there just slamming wood into carts, filling them up by hand. And this is green wood. And depending on the peel, you know, one of those sheets could be anywhere from 15 to 40 pounds. But you're doing this for 12 hours a day. And if you guys pulled up a video of green chain, I could it would make so much more sense. But you're just there stacking wood, throwing it in carts. Like my hands are forever obliterated because of it. And there's different types of green chains. There's green chains for board mills where you'd be doing the same thing with like 1x6 and 2x4s. And it's extremely fast paced. You're just throwing wood in carts. And I had been doing that for a long time. I had promoted from there to running equipment. I can flip a quarter over with the forklift. I am nasty in a forklift. I'll tell you what, I could thread a needle with the forklift. Anything with a motor, I could drive it. I remember I was telling Chad the other day, like I knew how to run a backhoe before I knew how to drive a car. Like, and that's one benefit of growing up in the boonies is like you just learn how to do stuff like that. So I'd been running equipment and stuff like that. And in the area where I am, you either work in the lumber mills or you're poor. Because it's really the only place out here where you're going to break $60K a year. And $60K a year in the country, that's like $150,000 down in Mid-Cal. It's good money. You can build a pretty good life with that kind of money out here. And I had left that occupation just because I was tired of it. I was working insane hours. That first video right there will give you the best.
I'm giving this
idea.
A go. Yeah, I'm going to try it. Let's see if this actually does the trick. You tell me.
Showing
if
up
this
on
is,
the first page of Google
I gotta watch an
might
ad
not
first.
be the
My
best for
apologies.
everyone.
You should that YouTube Premium. That's what happens when you cheat.
Okay, so this is what y'all are out there doing.
Yeah, so that's going to be a thinner peel. I can just tell by looking at that wood. It's probably like a 99 peel dug first. So it's thinner, it's not as heavy. But you see how he just stacked up like 4 or 5 boards?
Yeah.
Now he's probably got about 60, 70 pounds of wood in his hand. You know, this is a thinner peel. Sometimes the peels are a lot heavier. And this green chain's moving pretty slow too.
So the rest of that stuff is just rejected and it goes.
It depends. If 4 feet, if you look at that guy's cart up to the front, you see how the ends are kind of fucked up?
Yeah.
All right, those are what's called fishtails. So if they can take that and cut it in half and use 4 feet of them, they will use 4 feet of them.
Okay.
So the whole time you're separating, you're pulling 27s, you're throwing strip, fishtails. This is a pretty easy day for these guys. Everything's pretty clean. The wood's kind of light, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that knots that create those big gaps? Yeah. Okay.
And he's making it look easy. He's a good retail player. I've worked with that guy. Nice and smooth. You know what I mean? But it's rough. It's rough on the body. It's rough work, especially when you've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, 12 hours, 10, 12 hours a day.
Right.
But I had left the lumber mills partly due to the fact that the amount of overtime I was working. This is all pre and post doing the intro for Hotep Jesus in 2021.
Okay.
So 2020 and 2021, we had the craziest year in the lumber industry. I'm sure you guys remember the prices.
Yeah.
Culmination of really bad forest fires, the riots. You know, so anyone wants to tell me there wasn't a bunch of damage done us, motherfucker, we were shipping the wood to Kenosha. All right. So don't tell me that. And then the exodus from these areas, these wealthy areas to the country. That's what was driving up the prices on top of fuel and stuff like that.
Well, so what role do you think? Because I work in the paper industry, and like there was a lot of throughout 2020 and into 2021, there was a lot of these mills stayed running because of Amazon and because of the boxes and all that stuff. And they're pulling stuff off the market. It's different. It's not necessarily always the same wood supply, but it's a lot of the same wood supply that the lumber yards use and everything. I'm just wondering how much of that hardwood and softwood got pulled, and you're kind of fighting over fiber prices at that point. Wood prices.
I don't know too much about the analytics, but like I could tell you like what markets pop in. Like if we're pulling the white firs and the stuff for infrastructure, I'm like, okay, people are building houses right now. Once you start getting into the softs, like the Doug firs, I'm like, okay, people are finishing their houses now because now we're putting in cabinets and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the way I ballpark it in my mind. But we were busier than we had ever been those 2 years, and I redlined for too long. I was working 12-hour days, which that wasn't too rare to me, but I was working 12-hour days. I was working Saturdays, and then I'd come in and do a straight 6 on Sunday. And I did that for probably, 9-10 months straight there in 2021. And this is on top of getting the opportunity to do the podcast with Hotep Jesus, doing the intro. I had just started putting out music. And my wife was like, hey dude, the only time we see each other is when we wake each other up. Like, what are you doing? And she knows I'm a drug addict. I got an addict mentality. She's like, you're there's diminishing returns here. Like, you're not going to be able to keep this up for too long. Right. So after I landed it was end of June or July, I got the offer to do Hotep's Been Told You intro, which is just an awesome story. I literally wrote that on a forklift. I was driving a forklift while I wrote that, listening to the live stream. And when he read my super chat and offered me that, I was flipping out. Everyone was like, dude, what's going on? I was like, you don't get it. You know what I mean? Because like I listen to this shit every weekend. I've been super chatting these guys for years. I had just started tagging them in music, and I really just kind of bullied my way in there. I just kept tagging them and tagging them and tagging them and tagging them. And
that's how it is, man. That's how I got on with him too. It was the same kind of thing. I had the same kind of experience when he first mentioned me on the air about doing the clips and everything back in like January of 2019. Bro, I was like, I'm like showing my wife and stuff. I'm like, look at this. She's like, what the fuck is that? She still clowns me for like, like, can you turn that down?
They just don't get it.
Can you turn that down?
Yeah.
She makes fun of Unc's laugh and everything, and I'm like, that's fine. You can make fun of Unc all you want. I don't have a problem with that. But but it's dope. It's like people don't get it. People don't understand like how.
Well, because it was something that was tied to my recovery. Because that podcast I would listen to that. My main stint in sobriety started when I working at that. Started working at that lumber mill in like 2016, 2017. And how I'd get through those shifts is I'd be listening to Hotep's Been Told You. I'd be listening to like-minded podcasts, stuff like that. And it's like Thursday, I was working swing shift at the time. Thursday night, I'm excited to go to work because I get to listen to Unc and HJ bullshit. You know what I mean? So it was tied to that structure that really helped save my life. You know what I mean? Like that was a huge part of what was getting me through those weeks. And it led me into like, hey, dude, you got to start putting content out there. I always knew I could make music and I was good at it. I was like, you got to start pumping stuff. And my other buddy who actually, his name's Damien. I think Chad follows him because he came in on one of our spaces one time. He dropped some super like interesting bars and stuff like that. And he just left. Great guy. I worked with him for a long time. He was like, bro, just start pitching them your music. I was like, bro, they're never going to see it. You know what I mean? He's like, bro, just stop being a bitch and pitch them your music. So started pitching him my music and everything. And then when that happened, I showed him and he like wasn't even surprised by it. He was like, yeah, dude, like if it wasn't for Damien, and I hope he sees this, if it wasn't for Damien, then none of this shit would have happened because I would have never pitched the music to him.
Nice.
And
that battery in your back. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, and then I did the intro, which is another kind of funny story because I worked on that thing for like 2 weeks. The day before I was going to submit it to him, I came home and deleted everything because I was like, that's not it. That's not it. This sucks. This sucks. It's not going to work. And I had something on the back burner that I was like, oh, if that doesn't work, maybe this will work. But I'm like, I don't want to submit something and then them reject it and then go down to Hotep Nation weekend and be that goofy dude. Hotep Jesus didn't even know I was a white guy. He looked at me like I was a ghost when I met him.
I was standing right next to him, and you walk up because you and I had already talked for a minute, and he's like, what's your name? You're like, it's Cassius Cam. I did your intro. It's like, oh, and he like fell out when he knew who you were. He didn't even know you were white. That was hilarious.
He said, I don't look at people's abbeys unless they're a woman. And I was like, oh, this guy. Master, there he is right there. All right.
He's in here. He's in here on the Master Focus account too. That's funny. That's his chess account.
I came home and I deleted everything. And it was right before an episode of Hotep's Been Told You. I was going to submit it to him. It was the day before the episode. And I was like, nah, I'm going to go with this other way. I'm going to go this other direction. And I'm glad I trusted my instincts because I threw that together, sent it to him in Gmail 5 minutes before the episode started, not expecting to hear from him because I'm like, he's about to go live. And I put on the podcast and I'm sitting right here in my home studio watching. And my song comes on. And I thought my studio, my digital audio workstation was playing. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't turn it off. And I go back and it's not there. I'm like, yo, my computer is glitching out right now, dude. So I pause the podcast and it goes, I turn it back on. I almost hit the roof. You know what I mean? Because I knew when I sent it, I was like, yo, this shit's tight. You know, this shit is cool. But I didn't expect the reaction. And that Hotep Jesus' Brian's reaction is on my Instagram. It's one of my favorite Instagram clips I have. It's every time I watch it, I just get like a good feeling. You know what I mean? Because that affirmation to continue doing what I was doing with my life is like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And but on top of all the work I was doing and the music, like I was just redlining way too long. And it got to the point where that lumber mill had went from a swing day schedule at the drop of a dime to 3 shifts. They added a graveyard shift. And a bunch of the guys were like, hey, dude, when I started working here, I didn't say shit about working no graveyard. I don't know what you guys are talking about. That wasn't part of the deal when I took this job. So we had exodus. We had a bunch of people leave. I told them I'll stay, but I'm not working graveyard. Fuck y'all. It's not happening. I got too much seniority. I put in too many hours for you guys. I'm staying right here on swing. But we lost so many people. What I started doing is I was covering the last 4 hours of the day shift and then the first 4 hours of graveyard while still working my swing. You know what I mean? So some days I'm pulling 15s, 15 and a half, 16, 13, you know, making a killing for up here. I was making crazy good money, you know, outside California taxes. Like every time I got my check and see what those swindlers take from me, dude, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But I redlined for too long. And finally, after talking with the wife and shit, I was like, hey, dude, you gotta, because the mill started expecting those hours from me. Yeah. And when I started to pull back, they started to act a certain type of way. And I'm like, yo, I'm the only one that's pulling these kind of hours for you guys. Y'all can eat a dick. All right. So I found another little job in the area at like a wool mill that does like high-end textiles. We were selling like textiles to like cashmere and stuff to like Louis Vuitton and like all these fucking. But I just wasn't happy doing that. And the dude I was working with is a seasoned firefighter. He'd been fighting fire in the summer for 8 years. Great guy.
At that wool mill?
At the wool mill, the second place that I went.
Wow.
And we got to know each other. And he actually ended up bringing his kids into boxing. So I started coaching his kids and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
And he just got to know me. And he was like, bro, you need to fight fire. And I said, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd like. He was like, bro, you need to fight fire. Can you just trust me? And I was like, all right, bro, I'll go out on a roll with you. And he was like, there's this private place up there. You can get trained in a week. You'll be ready to go. He's like, you have saw experience, because I used to cut trail. Like back, I used to work for the state on conservation crews, and I'm a samurai with a goddamn chainsaw. And he was like, we can get you on. I go up there. I do a 21-day roll in Arizona, and I fucking fell in love with it. Just fell in love with it. And what's up, Dutch? And I fell in love with it, and I progressed up the food chain quickly for somebody who had just started as I'm only going into my second year, but I'll be signed off squatty by the end of the year. They usually don't give a first year due to saw, but just like I swindled into stealing Hotep Jesus's clips guy, just like I swindled into getting the intro, I said, nah, you guys give me saw. It's cool. And I went in there and I blew the roof off that bitch. And I loved every single minute of it. And now, like, this is what I want to pursue. I got on with the federal Forest Service. I'm just waiting for all the T's to get crossed and all the I's to get dotted in a facility that's 20 miles from my home, which is awesome, because I know Chad knows when I was with Private last year, the 2 times there was fires in my backyard, like literally my backyard. Neighborhoods that were right next to the neighborhood I grew up in burned down. And I got sent to fucking Yosemite and Pulis County, and like I have no control over that. You got to take the money where it comes. But I was really bitter because of that. I was like, no, fuck that. It's like, I need to be home. I'm in one of the worst places in the state as far as forest fires go. My wife, being Mexican, has got dozens of cousins. They're all over the place. And one of her cousins' husbands works for hiring out in Fort Jones. So it was kind of like a shoe-in. Fort Jones is the agency I'll be working out of. And now we're looking for property out there. Like,
nice.
And I'm not turning, like, I have a really good intuition when it comes to making like decisions as far as like life trajectory, especially as of this last half decade. And I've never done something as an occupation and just been so adamantly sure that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Nice.
So now you set fires on the timeline and put them out on the skyline.
Hey, that's tight. Chad got bars. See, people don't know Chad got bars. Like in the Men of Order chat, he'll be saying some shit, and I'll be like, damn, how didn't I think of that? You know, like
most of the time, everybody's arguing with me. Like, no.
When I've been doing these grift tapes, if you haven't heard any of the grift tapes, that includes Young Dolph Adams with his banger White Flight, and Lil AOC with her banger Space Lasers.
Yeah,
that was a great.
He was like,
Space Lasers.
Chad said, you need to put out one as Drillbert. And I was like, fuck, bro. Like, how did I? When the whole Scott Adams thing was going down, he was like, why don't you make one called Drillbert? And I was like, damn, dude, that's a good idea. And now it's like, I'm such a narcissist that I don't want to do it because he thought of it, not me.
It's fine. You can take it, man. I don't care. It's all good. Oh shit, that's fine.
Chad,
you don't have enough Uncle Hotep in you. Uncle Hotep would have just copied and pasted it and then let it fly.
Oh, Chad told me he could sing. Chad sang to me on the phone.
You know, the choir boy. Chad was in the front.
That sounds way gayer than it actually is.
No, that sounds like a motherfucker.
Hey, don't say that shit like that. I was trying to make. I was like, hey, have you ever heard this song? Because it was like what was the song that you did?
It doesn't matter. You were trying to serenade me over the phone, Chad. Now I'm gonna start making you guys uncomfortable because you have spoiled the well since you have by making everything gay adjacent in our group chat. You know, it could be the minorly gay adjacent, and it's just pauses, the gayest thing I've ever heard.
Oh,
Marcus keeps putting me back in there when I'm
not
trying
doing
to take
shit.
myself out.
I did nothing.
Oh, that was Nicco then. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes. I'm just trying to. I'm being a good fellow man of order, and I'm just saying pause whenever pause is necessary, even if it's borderline necessary or maybe even not necessary, because somebody's got to do it. Because somebody didn't tell that guy in Kenosha when he said bust on me, and nobody said pause, and he ended up dying. Like, you can't say that kind of shit. Like, Rittenhouse put 2 on him, and that was it. He was done.
Yeah, he plugged him. Pause.
Man, be careful how you talk out here. So I'm just trying to protect you and everybody else, so we don't catch a stray. Oh shit, man.
That's fucking hilarious.
Oh man. Well, that's awesome, man. And so, where do you think
Hotep Dutch is? Look at this. Hotep Dutch is out here. Oh shit, man! You got to be careful. Hotep Dutch is worse than me. He's out here. He's got a library of shit that he's just holding back on people.
That reminds me.
Videos together.
Blackmail. Dutch, you got blackmail.
Is Dutch has been putting out episodes, and I already DM'd him earlier, so he's gonna get a complimentary intro. Anyone affiliated with Hotep Nation, when you start putting out content, I got a lot of intros on deck. I will get it done, but a deal I made with myself, because Hotep Nation gave me a platform when I literally had nothing. Anyone affiliated gets a complimentary intro. That's non-negotiable. Nice. Non-negotiable. You will not pay me. I will not accept anything. If you cash at me, I will send it back. That's the deal I made with myself.
Can you make an outro for Aquarian?
No. Get music for the. I want to keep the snakes, but fucking do music on top of the snakes.
Say less. Like I got a few ahead of you. Like I said, I will get to it. But that's the deal I have. Hotep Nation, you know what I mean? I even got ones I got to finish for Papa Hotep. I still got to get his done. I'll get it done though. All right,
Nicco,
that's the deal I made with Hotep Nation with myself.
Oh no!
Everybody gets a complimentary intro, because unbeknownst to me, I make dope ass intros. And if it hadn't have been for the offer with Brian doing the podcast, that's not even a market I would have even fucking dove into. You know, it's like I made the first one, and then I was like, this is kind of stuff, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I was happy it went really well, and then I made a second one for and sent it to Chad, and he was like, yo, this shit's fire too. And then I made another one for Cannon, and I was like, oh shit, this is cool too. Then I made another one for With It, and I just made one for Kamar. I am the greatest intro maker on any platform. I've offered my intro services to bigger channels, and I think I might have offended them for doing so, but I can't be having people out here moving with these whack ass intros, because I feel like I set the bar with Hotep's Been Told You.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not coming hard, pause, with an intro like that for your podcast, then you need to hang it up, because that's what gets people in the door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll say this much too, like about to give you to you know, 'cause I know you've talked about it, but you're not. I don't think you're giving yourself the just due that you deserve for the quality of material that you put out when it comes to these intros. Because I want to tell people, like, this isn't just about like it's a cool catchy song with a cool catchy beat or whatever. Like, what Cam does is he captures the essence of the material that he's introing in the intro. The intro lets you know what you're about to watch and what you can expect. And that's the thing that I think is the coolest, is that like the people who, and like that Hotep Nation intro, or the Hotep's Been Told You intro is a perfect example. The people who watch that show, we get all the jokes, we get all the layers that you put into that intro. Like, we get everything that you're talking about in there. And that's something that I don't think you get from just having just grabbing some music off the shelf from somewhere, or having somebody put something together that it kind of reminds me of Brian. Brian had me write his bio for his website because somebody had, I don't remember who it was. Somebody had written this bio or whatever. And it was just like, you could tell the person like didn't know him or didn't know who he was or what he was trying to do, what his brand is or anything like that. And so I was like, I read the thing. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see why you need somebody who knows you to actually write this thing. And so I put something together and I was like, all right, here's my first draft. And he's like, print. He published it or whatever. Cause I still think it probably needs some little, polish on the edges and everything. But there's something about like knowing, and I think Dutch does this too when he does the Hotepistan thing, is like he goes in to like what the essence of whatever that discussion was, and he extracts the nectar out of that and says like, this is the thing that when you distill it all down, this is the thing that captures this moment perfectly. And he just does a really good job of that. So anyway, there's your flowers, Cam. Like the intros aren't just dope because it's dope music. The intros are dope because they capture the spirit and the essence of that podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I just got Kamar's done last week, so y'all tune into Kamar Daniel. He's putting out great cyber tech information on his channel. If you haven't subscribed to him, subscribe to him.
Really good stuff.
So
yeah, and the thing is, like we were talking earlier, like Ron Paul talked about, music is the backdrop of every revolution. We're having Hotepistan. I don't care if my fucking fat white ass is going to be sitting around. I don't care. We're going to get there. That's our revolution, and it is what it is. Because, I've said this before, the Hotep Nation, has been way more welcoming than a lot of the anarchists that I've seen, and so I don't really care what I title myself or what I call myself. These are the folks that I hang out with, and
Voodoo Santa Claus. That's your
right.
title. Don't,
for sure.
That's it.
Yeah, Voodoo Santa Claus for sure. I love it, but. And the author of the music behind what we're doing, it's not like there's not other people doing things, but the music behind a lot of what we're doing, Cam, is you. You see it. And like Chad talked about, when we talked earlier about the soul, you're bringing the soul. That soul is coming because of you and your music. I see it whether you're talking about, Hotep's Been Told You, whether you're talking about us. I mean, I've used your music when I did the Forgotten Freedom Fighter stuff. You have, like Chad talked about, you've captured kind of like the energy of what all of us are trying to do, which is do our own thing, be our own people, and cooperate to make our worlds better, and grift a little.
Hey, look,
I call it,
man, gotta get paid.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why it comes out like so organic, especially the HBTY intro. Like, and after that one, I didn't want to be like, I had reservations about being like the intro guy, like, I'm just gonna do intros, and it's like, I gotta lean into that too. I can make my own music and stuff like that too, but like if I'm not, I really enjoy doing those for people, and I really enjoy being able to give something back to people that are also producing content that is all part of the cause. Like, it's all for the team. You know what I mean? If you're outside of the nation and you would like my services, you're gonna have to pay for that shit. All right. And and I'm go ahead.
Yeah, like HJ said, that's love, man. And at the same time, I think because you've seen that we're all going to do whatever we can. That's how this works. Is you have skills, they exist in this place, and we have skills. And as we share our skills, whatever we can do for each other, we will. And we'll build each other as we go. Because, as much as we're individuals, the bottom line is when we cooperate, we are going to be unstoppable.
Well, this is one of the things, like, so when Taylor and I had our little powwow, we've had a couple of them poolside at HotepCon, the last couple of HotepCons. That was one of the things that I mentioned, because he was talking about how, like, he's not a big gun guy, and so he's going to have to protect himself. And how's that going to happen? Because he has his thing that he does well, but he's not. Does everybody have to basically have this skill stack where they can handle all of these things? It's like, no, that's the whole point of. That's what makes Hotep Nation so great, is that you're starting to see all of these different skill sets come together. And yes, we do kind of cross-pollinate to where you pick up some of these skills from being around people who have those skills. But then it's also, you get to say, hey, look, if you do this for me, I'll take care of this for you. And that way we get to share our talents. And that's how so much of this stuff actually works. And if you look at how some of the most powerful groups of people in the history of the world have taken care of things, it's by doing that. It's by leveraging their multifaceted talents and their true diversity of skill sets and perspectives, and making that into a greater whole by not necessarily collectivizing it in this, top-down Marxist kind of way, but collectivizing it in an organic way where it's like, okay, look, we know we all have each other's back. And then there's kind of like this unspoken thing, right? Where we all just kind of take care of each other when we need it, because we know that one day I'm going to need something. So I've got to take care of the people who I feel like need help right now. That's what's so beautiful about all this stuff, is that I get to watch all these different people who we didn't know each other 5 years ago, but now that we know each other, now we're like family. It's crazy to watch.
And how many of these, like, these online communities, or what people think that they have, like, do you think all those relationships keep going when the screens get turned off? You know what I mean? Because, like, as far as Hotep Nation, like, we're all a phone call away. Like, it's
right.
It's outside of this screen right here. Like, we're still connected in a community. Like, I don't see a lot of online communities. I don't even know if I want to call it an online community, because it's not. Like, it might have started off like that, but to where it's at now, like, the synergy between the people that are affiliated with this and the uniqueness, because everybody, even though we're like-minded people and we might have the same goals and aspirations as far as, like, what we want to see culturally, we're all fucking like the Ninja Turtles, dude. Like, we're completely different types of people.
Yeah.
And I think it just, go ahead.
With the goal of
No, we had something like, oh, go ahead, Nicco. Sorry.
Nah, I mean, he's like, we're like the Ninja Turtles, but with the goal in mind. And I mean, Shredder is the state. And then you got the Krang, which is like, other fucked up people and all that other shit. But like, we all come with our different talents, and we help bolster each other with those said talents. And it's like going to your neighbor for some sugar, because you could ask for $50, but sugar is so much lighter, and they know that they can come to you for something afterwards. So it's like, don't be so shy, or don't be so scared to come over here and talk to me. I brought you a pie when you first came over here. Like, let's not act like we can't interact with each other. And Hotep Nation actually does that very well.
All right, so I'm going to touch on what I was about to say before Nicco went. But first, Nicco, I have to ask you, in this metaphorical world, who is Baxter Stockman? Who is Fugitoid? And more importantly, is April O'Neil white?
For diversity hire, no.
I'm the dude with the hockey mask. Who was that dude?
Casey Jones.
Yeah, I think
wasn't that his name?
Right.
Casey Jones.
Yeah. Played by I think he was played by the guy who played Arthur Quinn in the Arrow series when they did the new live action Ninja Turtles series or whatever.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But I was gonna say on this thing with like Hotep Nation and everything kind of coming together, that there's a tendency, I think, for what Cassius Cam was describing to happen, to where this stuff exists in this cyberspace or on Twitter, but like we're not actually friends with each other. So like we're kind of social media out there friends, but like we don't know how to get in touch with these people. They're probably not gonna, like if you're, and I don't want to shit on anybody or anything like that, but like all the people who flood the Timcast chat where you can't even, the messages are so fast you can't even read them. Like, I wonder how many of those people actually know each other. Whereas I could name 50 people in the Hotep's Been Told You chat that I know, that I've actually had conversations with. And to bring that home even more, we were on suspension. We were on punishment for 2 weeks. And then we had some other stuff come up. But like Marcus, Nicco, and I, we missed each other. We actually just set up a phone call where we just talked on the phone for like an hour and a half, just the three of us, because we hadn't had our show for 2 weeks. And so like that sort of thing, I want to encourage people to tap into that even more. If there's some people who you interact with a lot on social media, on YouTube, in the chats of the various different programs that we tune into, where you see the same kind of people. You go to Cannon's channel, you go to Jay's channel, and you see some of the same people, Jimmy Doss and those guys. Like, reach out to those people, DM them, and like y'all, start like networking and getting to know each other, so that if some shit goes down and you need and they need something, you can be there to help them. Or if you need something, they can be there to help you. That stuff really comes in handy. Because I go back to, it was wild. I'm walking out of Walmart a couple of weeks ago, and somebody is like, "Hey, Chad," and I was like, "What? Who are you? What do you?" And he's like, "I follow you on Twitter and I watch Aquarian Anarchy." I was like, "What the hell?" And sixth book, look, check it out. I'm wearing a Deadpool shirt too. He was wearing a Deadpool, riding the Rainbow Unicorn shirt. Which I thought was beautiful. But that's what makes all this shit like worth it, is when you actually like randomly run into somebody who you didn't even know, like that person face to face, and now you know them face to face. Like that moment when HJ turned to you and he's like, "What's your name?" And you're like, "Motherfucker, I did your intro." That's the kind of stuff that like, that's what makes the world go round. That's what makes Hotep Nation like live and breathe to me.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome thing too. Like, speaking about Jimmy Doss, like the whole Hotep Fit movement that kind of just came out of nowhere. Now, shout out Black Mountain Hotep Trey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
seeing Trey's body transformation.
Oh my God,
is insane, man. Like the work, we have a group chat, me, him, Cannon, and Yancey now, because now Yancey's with the carnivore diet. I've been on carnivore for like 4 months. I feel fucking fantastic, and I've seen great improvements. And not only my body composition, but like my sleep. I had really bad psoriasis on my scalp for like a long time. Like that disappeared, and I wasn't eating bad before this. I've always been extremely disciplined with my diet, but that just waking up every morning and posting my workouts, like, and tagging people, making sure Black Mountain Hulked Up for sure. And tagging people, making sure they were doing their thing. And then I leave on fire. I go out on fire, and Trey keeps it going and just brings it to a whole nother level, and keeping each other accountable. Now, like, we hit each other up about like recipes, workouts. I'm running Trey's program. Trey put out Hotep Health. It's a fitness book. Excellent programming in that book. I feel strong.
It's only like $15 too, right? I
got it. It's a steal. It is. I got it a couple of weeks
ago.
Yeah. If you guys want to get in the gym, no matter where you are in your fitness journey, go on his Twitter page and go download his book. I wanted to do it primarily because I know he put a lot of work into it and he really knows his stuff. But I also wanted to do it because he deserves someone who's going to be extremely disciplined to run that program and give their results back. Because more often than not, people will buy a program and they'll half-ass it and they won't get the results they want. And I think one of the reasons I use the gym as an analogy is like, the gym is the most fair place on the planet. Like, you want equality, go to the gym, because you're going to get exactly back what you put in. And
yeah, the iron doesn't do diversity hires.
No,
You
no,
can
not
either
at
lift
all.
it or you can't. And that's it.
And when I come back from fire, seeing what Trey had done to the Hotep Fit, just keeping it going, and then the progress he had made, and then him switching to the carnivore diet and seeing his results, that pushed me in a direction, lit another fire in my ass to move me in a more positive direction. Now we got Yancey in here. Yancey's having great results. He's doing great with it. And if you don't follow Yancey, Yancey does bow hunting. He's got a channel as well.
Yeah.
Arrows Up. And now I'm diving in to his content to learn more stuff because I want to start bow hunting. And it's like it's snowballed, and it started off just as like us tagging each other in our workouts, but it's gone so much farther than that. And
I want to put a plug in too. Both Yancey and Trey are AA alumni as well. You can go watch our
excellent
interviews
episodes,
with them.
both,
yeah,
all three of those. Because I think
I would like to say, Cam,
Trey was on twice.
I have been working out, but see, what happened was with my phone is that it does not work unless it's on a charger, and that means that I just can't use my phone like that. But I've been like, after this, I'm about to go jump rope for like 30 minutes and then like go inside, finish up the rest of this workout when I'm done with this. But yeah, no, I was initially jumping rope almost every fucking day, but y'all just can't see it now.
Nicco has one thing in common with every white woman named Natalie across the whole entire nation, is having a phone that does not work unless it is plugged in. You also drive a Nissan Altima.
Oh yeah, yeah. The ultimate thought car. Okay, look, I want y'all to know that my back left tire has always been the replaced one. It has never been the real tire.
You're still riding on the donut?
Yeah, I'm still riding on a donut.
Oh my god,
oh man.
Damn, man. Nicco, you have to go immediately after this, not on your phone, but on your computer, and read Men of Order. I'm going to put out, I got one that's coming soon. It's going to be about how to change a tire. I had this conversation with my sons. This was like 5 years ago or something. They were like 11 and 8. And I was like, hey, I gotta go change this tire. And they're like, why do we have to go? And I'm like, because if you don't come with me and learn how to do it right now, you're gonna have a real man do it for you later when you get older.
Hold on, I would like to say my dad was about to show me how to change a tire, but then he went to go get the milk, and then.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm just kidding.
I don't know what's more pause worthy, that or that shit Cam said earlier.
Oh god,
that's like. Come on, man.
There's so many ratchet white women that drive Nissan Altimas that we actually coined the term, and they're Nissan Natalies. Like, that is an actual thing that we say in this,
great.
Where I'm from.
Awesome.
It's a shame Natasha's not still in here because she could vouch for. She's almost Natalie. She's right
Natasha,
there.
Close.
She might know a Natalie or two that drives an Altima.
Is Natasha a white woman? I never got to meet her.
Natasha probably black. I thought Natasha was black.
She was at Hotel Nation Weekend, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Natasha's white.
Natasha's white.
What?
Never mind. My bad.
Nicco said, never mind.
We love you. We love you, Natasha. Natasha's always posting our links. There's always a ray of sunshine in every single chat. You know, shout out Natasha. We love you. We love you to death.
Love them all, man.
No, Natasha's good people, and she was a black. We had so much fun, like just cutting up at Hotep Nation Weekend. I hope she makes it out to the next one too, and I hope we get like this combination where everybody that was there for 2021 and 2022 are both there for 2023, so that everybody gets to meet each other. Because there were a bunch of people, you and a handful of others, who weren't there the second one, who were there the first time, and I wish y'all could all gotten to meet each other.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I don't want to wish for forest fires, but like if I time out because I can only work a certain amount of hours
I got you.
within an
Yeah.
allotted time, which is still an insane amount of hours, you know.
Mhm.
But if I can time out by the beginning of August, that would be fucking clutch. You know what I mean? Because then I
know
might
what you
just
mean.
stay down there for a week. You know. So
Yeah, I got some stuff like that comes up. Like it just seems like every time I'm about to go on a vacation, that's when somebody's like, "Hey, we need to do this thing, and you're gonna get paid this much, and you can't turn it down." And I'm like, all right. So I guess we're gonna have to reschedule this vacation, or I'm gonna have to say no. And I'm not saying no, so we're gonna be rescheduling this vacation every time when I go on vacation. So it's the same thing. It's like something really cool that I can go do and have fun. No, we're gonna work our ass off instead.
Yeah.
Seems to always be the case, because that's what happened to you last time. You got called out for a fire and couldn't come to Hood Nation weekend.
yeah, I was in.
That was the Yosemite fire, wasn't it?
What month? August.
Yeah, it was like mid-August.
Yeah, that was
late.
in Yosemite. That was in
Yeah.
Yosemite. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the other cool thing is like Chad and Brian and Cannon. Like when I was out on assignment, I would get a flood of texts, not just from people like family members when I don't have service, but it wasn't just my immediate family that were in that. It was Chad being like, "Hey man, we haven't heard of you for a minute, making sure you're still alive." And, you know, Brian sent me a DM.
Oh shit, I didn't
making
know.
Sure everything's like, "Hey, is everything good?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's
You're out there
huge.
risking your life. You know, I got to know if you like. It's you know, I did legitimately. I was, you know, sometimes people are like just checking to make sure you're alive, but they're full of shit. They know you're alive. They just, you know, hadn't heard from you in a while. I was legitimately checking to make sure you were alive, because you're out there like doing like
Actually,
you know
punching
life threatening shit.
Yeah, like
So
you
guys,
out there battling with real dragons, and so like,
it's not as glamorous as people make it seem. It's like 80-20, you know what I mean? Like 80%, there's a lot of hurry up and wait, but then it's 20% chaos. Like 20% where like it's like that movie, what is that movie where that stupid fucking movie where he could slow down bullets and shit?
Matrix?
No, not that one. The guy, he was bending bullets, wasted or
wanted.
Yeah. And like it's weird because when shit hits the fan, like there's like a weird sense of calm that comes over you with that kind of stuff, and like you don't get to process what type of situation you were in until you get back to camp, and everything kind of fucking. That's why when you come back from assignment, especially like if it's a really bad role, you have like all these plans for like your mandatory R&R. Like you get 2 days after a 14-day roll, or 21, you get 2 days mandatory off, and you're like, we're gonna go to the coast, we're gonna go sit on the beach.
Yeah, you told me about that. You just slept. For
and you wake up 48 hours later. Like that adrenaline just dumps, and then you're like, oh shit, you know what happened? So, but it's not as glamorous as people make it seem. There's a lot of cool badass stuff that we do, but there's also a lot of,
regular.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So
yeah,
I want Cam. I'm going to try to kind of start moving towards wrapping up. Where should people go to purchase your music?
So you can purchase on iTunes. I'm on Apple iTunes. Some music's not, because I didn't clear. I stole the beats. I'll just be forthright with you guys.
Sure.
No, I do some like remixing and stuff. So like for like remixing songs, like Role Models was a remix off a different producer. Instrumental Warmongers was a remix. Like it's all, as long as you're on YouTube, that's totally fine. You can free for profit stream that stuff. But if you want to purchase the music, Apple, iTunes, I'm on Spotify. I put most of my focus into YouTube as of late, trying to get the promotion side a little bit more dialed in, because that's always been my hiccup, and only being home, 5 or 6 months a year is going to kind of hinder that too, but I got a lot more stuff on the way coming out.
Nice.
I got a lot of remastered stuff, because if they haven't heard it, it's new. So we putting out a lot of stuff like that. I got a lot of stuff on the back burner. We got videos for State of the Union in the works. Talk About It, which that video, when it gets done. That's going to be fucking insane. I'm looking forward to that. But really just share my music and listen to it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm not worried about blowing up or getting famous or making a ton of money off music or anything like that. Like, I know my shit's dope. I know people appreciate it. And when the right ears get a hold of it, maybe I'll get that bump, you know, maybe I can snag a Bryson Gray feature off Hotep Jesus' stream on Friday.
Yeah. Talk about the little duet thing that you did recently on Instagram that you
those will actually be evaluated. So I don't, if you guys are familiar with like hip hop, like I am, Locksmith is like one of my favorite artists of all time. If you like real diverse lyricism, I would recommend everybody go watch Locksmith's freestyle on Shade 45. It's insane. This guy, I take a lot of his cues and I use the way that he raps as like a metric to like study how I put stuff together. And he just put up one of these remix challenges, you know what I mean? So it was actually a verse I have on another song, but it just fit perfect for what he wanted. So I posted it and it ended up on his page, but he put a bunch of people up on that page. Yeah. Like, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like a lot of them are really, really bad. But I believe he will. It
kind of became like the MAGA challenge, where it was like, you know, there were let's up with it and a handful of other good ones, and everybody else was ass. And
he should be evaluating them. I don't know if I get a fucking T-shirt or something. I don't really care. You know what I mean? I just, you know, like some more buzz would be cool because there's a lot of people that I'd like to collab with, and people in rap especially. Like, I've had artists turn me down because of my following not being big enough. And I think part of that is like, they're not trying to get out rapped by somebody who doesn't have the platform that they have. Right. Which is like, you know, I'd be scared to rap against me too. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just keep it a bean. I'll keep it a bean with you. Like, I'd be worried too. You know what I mean? So, because hip hop is very competitive. Yeah. It is extremely competitive. Whenever I hear something from anybody, I'm like, oh damn, I could have done that better. But that's just the name of the game. You know what I mean? But hopefully I can get some trickle down Griffonomics off HJ's stream with Bryce on Friday. Because he's one of the only guys in that circle that I'd really even want to work with. Because like,
well, he's got Bryson Gray coming on. When is that?
Friday.
So Friday, yeah. So that's an opportunity to get
because
in the chat.
I like Bryson. Bryson makes good music, and he's a very talented musician. And you know, but if we're gonna be completely honest, like 98% of that stuff in that MAGA rap circle is fucking atrocious. It is the worst type of music. It is the equivalent to Christian rock.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to
and Christian film too, where it's like there's a lot of excuses made and a lot of justification for bad quality that is just because, well, yeah, but it's Christian. It's like, that doesn't mean it's good. Like, you know, like good music is good music and bad music is bad music. And look, I know there's some ratchet shit out there that sounds really dope, and I know that there's some Christian stuff that sounds really bad. I wish it were different, but it ain't. You know, it's like, unless it's like Lecrae or a couple of other people, it's not going to be good when it's Christian.
I love Lecrae. You know? Lecrae's fire. I like Lecrae. And that's part of what I'm trying to do is like, I know I'm always going to be semi-associated to that circle of music, even though people really don't know my politics as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to ride any politician's D. Like, that will not happen. Like, I am not the guy. I'm not going to shill for a person. I shill for myself. I shill for the nation. That is it. But trying to make palatable political music that also pulls in that street hip hop culture, which is like, that's my roots, like the battle rap, like the street rap, you know what I mean? Like the real down and dirty, gritty hip hop type shit that you don't get to hear from most political rappers, like trying to blend those two. Like, that's kind of my mission, because it's a lane that
Just not really.
I think I'm the only one that can really do that in the circle of artists that I'm kind of affiliated with. Not to hate, not to say that there's anything wrong with their music, but like having the background that I came from, like being able to
there's a grit
talk
there.
nice on that street shit, but bring the political positive message and blend it together. You know what I mean? Because the three things you need as a creative to make good, palatable stuff that's going to stand the test of time is ethics. It goes ethos, pagos, and logos. So your ethos is your credibility, your pathos is the emotion, and then your logos is the logic. And that's something you learn in creative writing, is like those are the three metrics that you need to make something that's really going to be powerful. So that's kind of the lane that I want to focus on, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the music that I got coming out now. It's not going to be as political. Some of it's going to be political. Some of it's going to be more like role models, where it's like actually like gritty type, personal, heartfelt music. And then every once in a while, I'm going to go tell the ATF to blow me. So
nice.
Role Models was the song. Role Models was the song, by the way, when I sang to you. That was the song we were talking about.
Yeah. Real quick, and then we'll try to let you go. But talking about collaboration, when you're talking political-ish rap, in my world, there's really two people: you and High Res and what's his name, Jimmy Levy. Have you heard them at all?
Yeah, I've listened to their stuff.
It's a different kind of rap, and I realize that. But I would love to see like something coming, like, because they're kind of fixated on, you know, the vaccine stuff and all of that crap. But I think that there's a similar hopeful message that comes across in both of your music. And like I said, I understand that it's different and it may not work together. I get that. But I would love to see something like that coming. If we're doing collaborations, that's the kind of collaboration I'd like to see is because I think you bring a passion that I honestly haven't seen in a long time from any kind of political like voice. I think you have it in spades, and I think they have not only a bit of a following, but they also have like it hits to a melodic area that I think can, and you've done some of that in some of the music that you've had, but I think that collaboration, in me, I'd be in heaven, because they'd be my two favorite rappers, or rap music coming together to do something. But I think that anything that you do, Cam, just has like, because I love the mix of freedom, rebellion, and truth that you have, and I want to see that brought out. And I think that it is a crime, frankly, that you don't have more followers and more people that just you. I'm not kidding when I say that you're the backdrop to almost every party I have. Your music is right there. I played. I'm a weirdo, and we had a spiritual thing this past weekend. So I'm showing people, and the two women that were kind of new to our group were come from Wicca, so they're coming from that place. And here I am in the living room after we're done doing our services, playing Cassius Cam for these people, going, you got to check this dude out. You know, this is my boy right here. And so I'd love to see anything that we can do to help, you know, promote you, to bring you to new levels. Just let us know. If you don't already have my phone number, you can get it through Twitter. I'll give it to you. Anything I can do for you, I hope you know that I'm here for you, and because I think your work's important.
I appreciate you guys a lot. And I mean, let's throw the line out there. Everybody retweet this episode. Whoever's clipping these clips, clip it. tag high res. Like, let's get busy, dude. Like, I could have a verse out tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way I work. You know, but high res, you better come correct because you might lose some fans if you don't bring it. So,
right, for sure.
It's all love. It's all love. But seriously, yeah. Put the line out there. Put some feelers out there. Tag high res. See what's up. You know, I'm
absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
I think Levy did the vocals, the singing vocals on one of Bryson Gray's songs. So like, there's, you know, you might get some like, you know, I don't know, secondhand grifting off of it, you know, where sure. they pick it up, somebody shares it with them or something like that. Who knows? But so again, I know you said you got to run. So
yeah, I got boxing class here at 6 p.m.
Cool. All right. Well, we love your stuff, man. Love you. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing, and everybody ought to know.
Wait 1 second.
I thought he was talking to me.
I know, me too. Like, damn. What you got to say, Nicco?
He's talking to his dad. Well, anyhow, everybody out there, you know how we roll. Stay free.
My bad, everybody.